Welcome back to Blake's Take. Hope you're all having a great day today. Diving right into Tuesday. Let's get right on with some sports action and some new sports news. After many head coach firings in the NFL from teams such as the Jaguars, the Texans, the Lions, and many others, we are starting to see some new head coach possibilities. And one of those is a legendary college football coach. Many teams are looking for an option in one Urban Meyer, legendary head coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes, who led them to a national championship back in 2015. At least two NFL teams have reached out to Urban Meyer, the former Ohio State head coach, to see if he would be interested in interviewing for a head coaching job in the NFL. Meyer did not dismiss these overturns from at least one of those teams, the Jaguars especially, and is considering whether to jump to the NFL. He reportedly intends to decide within the next week if he wants to be an NFL coach. Meyer, who is now 56 years old, who has not coached since December 2018 when he left Ohio State after 7 seasons, he amassed an 82-9 record, only single-digit losses in 7 seasons. That's incredible. With the Buckeyes and the rest of the school after a season in which he was suspended 3 games over his handling of domestic abuse allegations against an assistant coach. Meyer has never coached at the NFL level, but he wants to make sure that if he does decide to jump to the NFL level, he is ready and fully prepared to immerse himself in the opportunity. So we shall see how Urban Meyer does. It should be interesting. But it has been a weird situation with college football coaches, especially in the past, with many of them not succeeding so well, especially in one names like top names such as Chip Kelly when he was with the Ducks and then came to the Eagles, didn't have such a successful career. Now he's back in collegiate with UCLA. Nick Saban. Even the GOAT Nick Saban in the college football, 5 national championships he amassed in college. But when he went to the NFL, 15-17 record in just 2 seasons. So we'll see. I mean, it's a different situation for all different coaches. But the trend that we've seen in the collegiate coaches going to the NFL level has not been too great, especially very good coaches who led teams to national championships. But the collegiate level and NFL levels are very two different organizations. But we'll see if Urban Meyer can turn this Jacksonville Jaguars team around, which I assume, in my prediction, is where he's going to land, and see if he can land a college quarterback who's coming in, Trevor Lawrence. So it should be an interesting season for Urban Meyer, and we'll see if the Jacksonville Jaguars can turn things around. As far as NBA goes, right after we saw the Nets getting back into the swing of things, looking like an NBA championship contender, we're slammed again. After Kevin Durant is reportedly having to do a 7-day quarantine, which will make him miss 4 games due to COVID protocol. After losing 4 of the last 5 games to drop under 500, the Nets will be without Durant to run for the games beginning Tuesday against Utah and continuing through Thursday against Philadelphia, Friday in Memphis, and Sunday against Oklahoma City. As long as Durant continues to test negative for the coronavirus, the soonest he can return is January 12th against the Denver Nuggets. So very unfortunate news for KD and the Nets. They're on a pretty rough slate right now, going 4 of the last 5, losing. So it's looking pretty rough for the Nets. They're under 500 after 2-0. Great start. They dominated against the Warriors, dominated against the Bucks, but I don't know. We'll see how it turns out for the Nets. And also news that might help their situation, though, is that they're trying to get a $5.7 million disabled player exception for the season-ending injury of one Spencer Dinwiddie. Once granted the $5.7 million exception, 50% of Dinwiddie's salary, which allows the Nets to trade or sign or claim on waivers a player for the rest of the 2020-21 NBA season. Brooklyn would have to have a clear roster spot to add a player, so this could lead to a multiplayer deal and maybe acquiring one James Harden. That's a pretty far stretch, but they could also get a very key role player for low cap space, which would much help this team. Get a key role player to go along with the missing Spencer Dinwiddie. It would really help this team's situation because after their loss to Spencer Dinwiddie, we all know how it's turned out. Lost 4 of 5. So we'll see how it turns out to the Nets. Good things and bad things are happening. It's in a very toss-up situation that they're having. They got new coaches, new players. I'm sure the Nets will figure it out, but it's going to be a long, long process. So we'll see how it turns out. As far as local sports, the rescheduled matchup between the Oregon State Beavers men's basketball and the Stanford Cardinals went down last night. Unfortunately, did not go so much in our favor. The Stanford Cardinals beat us 81-71 in the game last night. And the Oregon State starters did not do so well. They only scored the 10 points was the most, which was by Ethan Thompson Jr. But the bench really balled out with Gianna Hunt and Jared Lucas combining for a total of 39 points off the bench. Great performance by the Beavers bench. Nevertheless, Stanford's Oscar Da Silva outmatched the Beavs with 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. So the Beavs are still over 500 with a 5-4 record, looking to win the next one, though, and continue to try and contend in the Pac-12 play. So, unfortunate loss, but these bench players really showed last night that they're legit, and these starters need to step up or they're going to get their starting spot removed because these bench players are balling out for the Beavs. If they can put all these pieces together, might be able to make a run at it. So we'll see how it turns out for the Beavs. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blake's Take. I appreciate the support on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Please do that. It would really help you keep up on the content that I'm producing and just getting that latest sports news to your brain. So let's get right into the sports news tomorrow, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on Wednesday.